The fastest way to create wealth is by starting or investing in a business. People like Dave Ramsey talk about how it is almost impossible to become a billionaire without going out and actually having your own business. So when you think about that, all billionaires, they have their own business of some kind. When I think about billionaires, I think about Rihanna. What made Rihanna a billionaire was not her music, but instead it was her makeup, right? She had her own makeup brand, and that sent her through the roof financially. When I think about people like Dr. Dre, for him, it wasn't all of the number one albums he produced or the singles or the music. It was the Beats headphones that they went and they actually sold to Apple. And so when you're looking at going and you're looking at being successful and you're looking at, oh, I want to make a ton of money, then the first thing that you should look at is a business. For me personally, I started off and I would put my money in low risk investments and get a 5% return. I've put my money into moderately risky investments and received a 10% return. I've put my money into high risk investments and I've seen some 20, 30, 40, 50% returns. But then one thing I saw is I said, I want to learn how to turn not 5,000 into 10,000 because I can do that with the stock market. I can do that with investments. I know how to turn 5,000 into 10,000 easily. But I got to a point where I said, I want to learn how to take $5,000 and I want to turn $5,000 into an unlimited amount of money. And so when I was thinking about how to do that, what I came up with was starting a business where I would go and talk about personal finance. And so now I'm to the point where the business is up and going and I spent about $5,000. I bought a computer, a camera, a microphone, lights, paid for setup. And so what I did was now I'm creating these videos. I have almost 1,000 subscribers at the time that I'm recording this video. I wrote a book, Make Money Make Sense, where that's able to go and generate income. And now I'm kicking off my seminars. I'm scheduled for my first speaking engagement about personal finance to a church. And so I'm going to be able to go do that. And I'm going to start doing seminars. And all of this started with just $5,000. And you may be looking at me and saying, well, you're not making a ton of money yet. And I'm like, I know, but just be patient because it's coming, right? The YouTube channel is going to scale and go bigger, and I'm going to get monetized from that, which is going to help me sell more books. I'm going to be asked to public speak about personal finance at churches a lot more. And then I'm going to go and do my seminars where I'll be able to sell my books, promote my YouTube channel, and really help people with personal finance. And so the reason that looking at a business was so lucrative to me was because in studying personal finance, I learned that there are many things that you can do, but there's nothing that gets an exponential rate of return like going and starting your own business. So I encourage everyone to go out and start a business where you can be successful. Now, I have already started a church in the past, probably about 5 years ago, successful church, growing, thriving, doing well, and with that, I believe we started with just me and my best friend saying, hey, let's go start a church. And then we probably got to about 100 people by the time I transitioned out and someone else began leading the church, and I transitioned to another position at another church. And so I know what it is to start a business, right? To start a church, to start an organization from scratch, or just being in your mind. But really looking at it, one thing that I've learned, as I said, the next business I start will not be a nonprofit organization. And I think that many people, when we want to start a business, if you grew up in a lower socioeconomic environment that like I did, the first thing that you want to do is you want to go and you want to go somewhere that's familiar, somewhere that's safe, and you want to give back to people. That's why when we started the church, I started it in one of the lowest socioeconomic environments that there is in Sacramento because I wanted to give back. And I still want to give back, but what I realize is when you start a nonprofit type organization, then you're always going to be looking for funding, struggling for funding, and then your income is capped, meaning no matter how successful you are, no matter how much work you do, no matter how good you are, no matter how big the scale is that you do, there will always be a cap on your income. And so I got to a place where I wanted to start a business where there would not be a cap on the potential that I'm able to earn. That way, I'm able to use the resources how I want. I can give back generously, or I can go and take care of my family and make sure my children, have the things that they need, and even above that, to things that they want in the future. And so, looking at it, this epiphany came to me when and I'm saying this epiphany like it's this big, huge ordeal. I'm just saying when the light bulb went off in my mind, what happened was I had already had a sum of money invested, and then I had $5,000 that I had, and I was about to invest that $5,000. And I started calculating, and I said, yeah, I can do this investment or that investment. I could turn 5,000 into 10,000. I could turn 10 into 20. I could turn 20 into 40, but that might take me about 10 years to get that 5,000 to 40,000 through traditional investments in the stock market or other investments that I was looking at it. I was like, well, if I double my money every year for 5 years, right, then I will have about $40,000. And so when I thought about it, I said, $40,000, that's a good amount of money. It's a nice amount of money, but it's not otherworldly, life transforming. So then my wheel started spinning, and I started thinking, what are some ways that I can invest this amount of money where I can get an exponential rate of return? And then that's what I came up with. And so with you, what my encouragement is to look at ways that you'll be able to go and generate income. Or even if you want to start a business, I encourage you to go and to start that business. But one thing that people do, they start a business because they have a good idea, or they start a business because they're good at something, but they don't completely understand the finances and the resources and the population that they're serving. So then they end up struggling to make ends meet. And really, what fuels a business is the funding, or is the finances. If there's any business, good or bad, if you pour a ton of money and a ton of resource into it, they'll be able to hire great people, innovative people, and they'll be able to pivot and have a successful business. They'll figure something out. On the flip side, if you have a great business, but they have no funding, and the funding is going down, and they can't get access to any resources, chances are that that business will not be in existence much longer, because that's what helped fuel the business. And so it's not so much about how good your plan is, or if someone cooks really good, so they want to start a soul food restaurant because they're just the best soul food cook in the world. Running a business, it takes a completely different set of skills. You have to manage finances, you have to know marketing, you have to get ready for customer service, you have to lead a team of people, and you have to do all of these things, right? So if you want to start a business, you should be doing market research, seeing who your competition is, seeing who your target audience is, knowing who it is that you're going to serve. You should have a unique business plan. You should make sure that you know where your funding is coming from. You should already be thinking management, and are you going to scale this business, or is this business going to be something that you're going to do by yourself? Like the example I gave with someone who's just a great soul food cook. So then they open a soul food restaurant. So then do you plan to just be the one cooking all day, every day? Or do you have a plan to expand and teach others the recipes and be able to have a break? Otherwise, what some people do is they say, oh, I don't like my 9 to 5, so I'm going to go start a business. And maybe that's good motivation for you to start a business, and that have motivated a lot of people, and they turn around and have successful businesses. But what I would encourage you with is I would encourage you to not just start a business because you're tired of your 9 to 5, because in reality, you're going to work harder for yourself than you would ever work for anyone else. You are your worst boss. You'll keep yourself up till 2 in the morning, turn around, wake yourself up at 4 in the morning just to meet deadlines and get things done. At a traditional job, if you're sick, you take off. When you own a business, if you're sick and you take off and you don't have other people to run it, then you're going to get bad reviews and upset customers because you're not delivering your service. Or if you want to take vacation, when you work for a job, it's easy to say, all right, I'm out taking a vacation, see you in 2 weeks. When you're running a business, that could be 2 weeks of lost income, 2 weeks where you have to shut down, 2 weeks where you're not productive or earning anything. So there's a lot of things that you have to consider when you are going and starting a business for it to be successful. But the number one thing I would recommend that you look at is the economics and the finances, and say, how is this going to make me financially successful? And don't just feel like you'll do the best job for the cheapest price and you'll outprice everyone else, because there's always going to be someone who's going to come along and then outprice you. And so what you have to do is you have to figure out how you have a unique value that others do not have, what it is that you do that others are not doing, that people will come to you and say, I would rather pay for your service or what you're doing or give you income or resources than the other people who are doing it. So make sure you study your competition, know what's out there. I want you to thrive. I want you to be successful. I want you to have a growing business, and I want you to financially be good so you can take care of yourself, so you can take care of your family, and so that you can give generously. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you learned something, then I want you to go ahead and hit subscribe and watch the other channels which are on this page, which are all about financial literacy.